Now today, we are going to talk about allergies. Yes. Now, allergies are becoming almost an epidemic in the US today. You're talking 15 million people were affected by food allergies alone within about 2001, 2002, and it's rising each and every year. So we got to figure out, why is this rise coming from? What is causing this absolute kind of epidemic rise in a food allergy when we never really had to deal with this in the early 1990s and before that? So when you're talking about allergies, we got to talk about what's the mechanism behind allergies? What is causing the allergies? And an allergy, all an allergy is it's your body's abnormal response to a normal stimulus. So it's an abnormal response to a normal stimulus. That means that the allergen is not the problem. You see, when you go to a doctor, they're going to tell you, oh yeah, that pollen's real bad, you know, the grass, the pet dander. That's actually not the problem, because an allergy is the body's abnormal response. The allergen is absolutely normal. And so what happens is our body gets exposed to an allergen. And what happens is that your body views this allergen as foreign, almost like a foreign protein. And so your body, in response, releases something called immunoglobulin E. And that immunoglobulin E, or I'm just going to say IgE for short, IgE then activates something called mast cells, which are immune cells. And when it activates mast cells, it then stimulates this huge cascade of histamine, leukotrienes, prostaglandin release. And that's going to basically cause a huge cascade of symptoms going on. And your histamines cause your blood vessels to become more permeable, which means when you have allergies, that's things that cause like the rashes, the hives. You got the leukotrienes, which causes a huge hypersecretion of mucus. So that's why everyone is always coughing, sneezing, with a ton of phlegm in their throat. And so what do we got to do about this? Remember, it's the body's abnormal response to a normal stimulus. So really, the cause is our immune system being hyperactive or dysfunctional. It's not the allergen itself. And so what happens is that when you're looking at the gut, what they found out is that over 80% of your immune system is located in the gut itself. So if we have a dysfunctional immune system causing allergies, we got to look at the cause, baby, and that's the immune system. And then 85% of the immune system is located inside the gut. Now, when they're looking at the diversity of the microbiome in your gut, they realize that bacteria make up, they almost outnumber your body cells 10 to 1. So you roughly have about 100 trillion bacteria in our gut alone. And then they looked at the beneficial viruses in our gut called bacteriophages. And those outnumber the bacteria 10 to 1. So you're talking 1 quadrillion viruses that make up a healthy gut, which actually makes our gut biome one of the most complex ecosystems on the planet. That's really how complex this thing is. And so what happens is when we have poor gut health, we start to get these deteriorations going on in our gut lining. And that allows these foreign proteins to go into our bloodstream directly, causing inflammation, and that leads to an allergic response. And so, really, you've probably heard the term leaky gut. That's exactly what this is, leaky gut. When particles can go in your system and actually go through the gut lining, going directly, a direct pathway right into the bloodstream, that's what causes the allergies. So what we got to do is we got to prevent that deterioration in the gut lining. We got to make sure it's nice and strong, kind of like a good security border, so we don't have these foreign particles that our body views going inside our bloodstream directly. And so when we look at this, if we support our digestive health, if we support our gut microbiome, we're going to increase our immune system. And by increasing our immune system, that's going to be our primary defense against all diseases, and in particularly, especially for this case, allergies. So the solutions we're going to talk about today are diet, exercise, personal hygiene, supplementation, medications, as well as chiropractic, and how those can really increase our diversity and our health of our gut microbiome and increase our immune system function. So Before I go into this, we got to talk about peanuts and dairy, because this is really becoming an epidemic right now in that everyone is starting to ban peanuts from schools. I mean, peanuts and dairy used to be a snack staple back when we were little kids. Back in the early 90s, they used to be a snack staple. Everyone, all my friends had peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Now what the heck is going on? You're talking peanut butter is banned from schools. Peanuts are banned. People are consuming dairy, getting runny noses, phlegm, all this stuff, coughing, sneezing. We don't even know what's going on. And when you look at the statistics, from a 5-year period, 1997 to 2002, peanut allergies doubled. And you're thinking, just in a 5-year period, peanut allergies alone doubled? What's going on here? In fact, 50% of all food allergens doubled in that 1997 and 2002 period of time. So what the heck happened in this 5-year period of time? And that's what we're going to go into. But in addition to that, there was a 265% increase in hospitalizations from peanut allergies from 1997 to 2002. And it's just not making sense here. And so you got to realize that when you have food allergies, your body's recognizing something as foreign into the body. So we usually know that the immune system is what's the main culprit here. But if you're just looking at one type of allergy, peanuts, and how this thing has completely doubled in a 5-year period, we got to realize, is there something foreign in our food going on here? And the answer to that is absolutely yes. And in fact, right in that end of the 90s area is basically the height of the genetically modified foods, the processed foods, the artificial food colorings, preservatives, all these additives. So that really happened with the spike of those things causing these abnormalities that the gut has never seen before, allowing our gut to view those things as foreign, causing an inflammatory response leading to allergies. Now, that's not the main thing though. Yes, the preservatives, the artificial colorings, all of that was bad, but there was one major issue they found. And the main hazard was that in the mid to late 1990s, they added a new protein to our food market. They engineered a brand new protein that the body has never seen before. They introduced this to our food supply. And the reason was because it maximized profitability, basically at the expense of human health, unfortunately. So there was absolutely no human trials done ever on any of these new food proteins they were genetically engineering. And so one of the first foods to actually undergo this change was milk. So it's not surprising that milk and peanuts are the top 2 allergens in the US today. And when I'm talking about milk, we're talking about pasteurized dairy. We're not talking about raw, because raw is actually very healthy and completely different at a molecular level than what's going on here. So what happened? In 1994, they introduced a genetically engineered substance called recombinant bovine growth hormone. And what that hormone actually did was it caused all these cows to drastically increase their milk production. So as a dairy producer, you're thinking, oh great, that's awesome. I'm going to give them this growth hormone and it's going to massively increase the product. That's what you wanted as a business person. However, what they found out is that this artificial hormone they were giving them resulted in exponentially higher disease rates. So yes, instead of being like, oh, maybe this recombinant bovine growth hormone is bad, they went in the opposite direction. Well, why don't we just give them low-dose antibiotics for the rest of their life too to combat those diseases? And that's exactly what they did. They gave them antibiotics throughout their entire life. It's no wonder why we have all these antibiotic-resistant superbugs now going on around the world, because everything we're consuming has antibiotics in it. So you got to look at the country. So when you're looking at how bad this growth hormone was and how the devastating health effects, you got to look at what countries are banning this stuff, first of all. And the countries that actually looked at this stuff, saw this is absolutely horrible for you and banned it, are places like Canada, the UK, Australia, New Zealand, and 27 different countries in Europe. And that's just naming a few of them. The US, you're not going to see on this list here, because that's right. Despite no human safety trials ever being done, the US took the opposite stance, and they realized that money talks, the food profitability means way more to me than human health, and that's exactly what happened. And today, to this very day, they're still using our BGH in our milk supply. Now, when you're talking about raw versus conventional pasteurized dairy, there's a big difference, because raw dairy actually gives you good immune system support. There's a good raw whey protein substances that are going to help boost your immune system. In fact, those who ate raw milk versus those who ate pasteurized milk, they had a 41% less asthma incidence, as well as 50% less hay fever. So if you want to get 50% less hay fever and asthma, just go to raw versus traditional dairy. That's one way you can do it. And then the problem specifically with your pasteurized dairy are, there's numerous issues going on, but it's going to increase the phlegm, make your allergies worse. It's very prone to doing that. That does not offer any natural calcium. I know you hear these got milk ads all over the place telling you to eat all this, drink all this milk, consume all this yogurt. If it's pasteurized, it's absolutely unhealthy because those cows are consuming grain, not grass. And real milk only has calcium in it naturally if the cows consume grass. So you're getting this crappy milk that's pasteurized, all the enzymes, everything being destroyed, then they add calcium in a supplement form, and then they tell you to drink this milk for your calcium. It's a frickin' joke. And then another one, when you're talking about diet, things to actually do to increase the gut function, to increase your immune system, is you gotta choose organic, locally grown produce. Gotta do it. You gotta have fermented vegetables, cultured vegetables, things like kombucha, bone broth, all those are excellent at healing the gut lining. And what's cool is that they looked at a specific type of gut bacteria, something called Clostridia, and they realized that if you apply these healthy lifestyle tips like choosing organic, locally grown vegetables, fermented foods, it actually increases the amount of Clostridia in your body, and Clostridia will actually reverse your allergies. And how it does it is interesting. Clostridia actually activates something called interleukin 22, and interleukin 22 then causes a decrease in your gut permeability, which means it causes a decrease in things being able just to pass through your gut lining and causing that inflammatory response that allergies are known for. So by adding more healthy food choices, by consuming fermented foods, we're going to increase the Clostridia in our gut, and then that is going to actually help strengthen the walls of our intestines, not let foreign substances in our bloodstream, to prevent allergies that way. Things we absolutely cannot do to fight allergies, and that is avoid processed foods. High sugar content. The high sugar content in foods, especially from refined carbohydrates, actually feeds your bad gut bacteria. So you can consume fermented foods, but if you're consuming that with a high sugar diet, you're kind of just feeding both sides of the bacteria spectrum, and we got to do both things. We got to get rid of the bad bacteria, add in the good healthy bacteria. As well as you got to avoid genetically engineered foods, GMOs. Glyphosate actually kills off your good bacteria, synthetic additives. And also too, as GMOs constantly evolve, they're adding new and new things to this matrix here, and it's introducing new allergens our body has never seen before. These are all foreign man-made chemicals our body does not know what to do with, and so it creates absolute havoc in our bodies. So we got to just say no to GMO once and for all. Now, another one we have to look at is intermittent fasting. In intermittent fasting, I put this under the diet category, but it's not really a diet. It's a dieting strategy. It's a way to consume food in a specific amount of a small window to actually get a ton of good results. And it's proven that intermittent fasting actually improves not only the diversity, but the health of your microbiome. As well, it's going to promote longevity, and it's going to make you live longer, which is awesome. And I'm actually coming out with a book called The Scientific Approach to Intermittent Fasting, and that's going to be coming soon within a month or so. So be on the lookout for that, and also check out the YouTube video on intermittent fasting for more information on how to incorporate that into your lifestyle. So then we got to look at exercise, and what they found out is that from the journal articles Immunology and Cell Biology and the journal article Gut, they looked at basically the gut microbiome of athletes versus non-athletes, versus professional athletes versus just the general public. And they also looked at what an active lifestyle can do, especially in the early years of development. And what they found is that the more you exercise earlier in your years, you're actually going to grow up with way less incidence of disease. Imagine that. So we all kind of knew that exercise was healthy, but why? It actually increases the diversity of your gut microflora. It increases your healthy bacteria. So then, besides exercise, we got to look at personal hygiene. Basically, what we got to say is, let the kids play in the dirt. Dirt is completely acceptable. Kids now are so scared, parents are so scared to let their kids get dirty, to get exposed to the natural microbiome of the earth's surface. All of that stuff that it's really destroying ourselves in the process. And so when you look at the last few decades, when we become really germ conscious, we've had a doubling, tripling, even a quadrupling of allergies going on. And it's just making us very vulnerable, because when you don't expose yourself with the natural bacteria from the earth, we're not building up that natural resistance that we need. So get those kids outdoors. Adults, get outdoors. I mean, over 92% of our day we're spent indoors on average, and that's just not acceptable. And so we got to get out in the earth, get natural resistance to all kinds of bacteria out there, which means that you've got to avoid antibacterial soaps, anything that's going to destroy the natural gut flora of the skin, because that's also a protective barrier to what's going on inside. And they also looked at just having flowers and plants inside your house is going to do wonders for you. That actually has been proven to increase the diversity and natural microbiome of the skin, allowing you to fight your pathogens naturally. Then we got supplementation. And they realized, they did some studies, and they found a huge correlation with low vitamin D3 levels and high allergies. So we got to make sure that our vitamin D3 is up to par, and you're naturally going to want to get it from the sunlight. There's no alternative. You've got to get it from the sun. But if absolutely we can't, especially in winter months and some places around the world where they don't get good sun exposure, you've got to supplement with vitamin D3. And when you're taking D3, you've got to make sure you're taking it with vitamin K2. And K2 is kind of there's been a lot of studies lately on vitamin K2, and what they found out is that if you are deficient in K2, you're going to get calcium buildup in your arteries. And that's exactly why statin drugs now, studies are showing that they actually increase heart disease, because they block K2's ability to perform, which means they're not able to get that calcium out of your arteries and bring it back into the bones where it belongs. If you get calcium in the arteries, then that's how atherosclerosis starts to build up. And then we got to talk about omega-3 fats, because remember, an allergy is your body viewing something foreign, causing an inflammatory response leading to allergies. So anything that's anti-inflammatory in nature is going to help with your symptoms of allergies. Omega-3 fats are anti-inflammatory. Omega-6 fats are pro-inflammatory. So you got to make sure that we have low omega-6 fats, high omega-3 fats in our diet. And so these are potent anti-inflammatories, like we said, but also too, there's 2 studies in the journal Allergy, and they found out that the more omega-3s you take, the less allergies. Not surprising there. But they also found out that if you introduce fish oil to babies less than 1 year old, they're actually going to grow up healthier, stronger, and resistant to many of the diseases that other kids are being exposed to and getting sick from. So now we got to look at medications. And the big one here is antibiotics. Now, antibiotics are becoming so widely used, and it's almost to the point where it's just being the doctors are just being lazy. When they don't really know what to do, they're just going to give you an antibiotic. If a kid comes in with an ear infection, despite them being over 91% viral in nature, they're going to give them an antibiotic. And that just seems stupid, because antibiotics don't do anything for viral infections. So you're exposing these kids with antibiotics who don't even have a developed immune system. It's completely destroying their gut, and it basically makes them more susceptible to sickness and disease later on in life. And do we see a trend in America today of sickness and disease increasing? I think so. New York University said that anyone taking antibiotics, below 1 year of age, it can cause a lot of permanent consequences. So despite what you can do with your diet after that, it can actually become permanent, those devastating effects. And when you're talking about conventional meats out there, remember what we discussed. These cows are fed low-dose antibiotics for life. So if we consume that meat, we're actually feeding ourselves low-dose antibiotics when we don't even know it, killing off our natural gut microbiome, making us sick. So if you absolutely have to take antibiotics, I'm not saying they're never in use, but if you absolutely have to, you've got to make sure you're reseeding your healthy gut bacteria in conjunction with the antibiotic, such as consuming it with fermented vegetables, probiotic supplements, bone broth, all of that kind of stuff. Now, proton pump inhibitors for acid reflux, those are absolutely devastating to your gut bacteria. They actually completely prevent proper digestion in the body because they block your stomach's ability to produce stomach acid. And so when you don't have enough acid in the stomach, you're not breaking down those foods, you're not properly digesting, your gut microflora are affected by that. And that includes the Nexium, purple pill, Prilosec, Tums, all of that stuff. And even if you look at the back of these labels, they even say don't consume for more than 6 days. On TV, they advertise for their own pills to take every day for the rest of your life. And so there's a conflict of interest there. And then you got to talk about NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. These drugs actually destroy your cell membranes in the body. They prevent your mitochondria, basically the energy powerhouses of the cell, to work properly, and also has been proven to severely kill off and cause a lot of dysfunction in your gut bacteria. And I just remember when I was little, I think in the first couple years of high school, I was on 5 different allergy meds at one time. And I just imagine how stupid I was back then. But really, we were just going to the doctor for answers, looking for answers, thinking that the doctor was the place to go to, when the whole time they were just making me sicker and sicker and sicker. You know, giving me a drug to counteract the symptoms of this drug, giving me another drug. 5 allergy meds at one time, and that's malpractice to me. Finally, when I got rid of the drugs and actually decided to get healthy and apply a lot of these steps we're talking about today, was finally when I could actually get my allergies under control and get healthier. And it's not surprising. What I was actually doing is increasing my gut bacteria so I could fight these immune attackers naturally. And then other factors are fluoridated, chlorinated water, like in your tap water. Remember, chlorine doesn't just kill the bad bacteria in the water. When you consume chlorine, it actually kills your gut bacteria as well, making you more prone to sickness. Cesarean births, C-sections. When babies are born, they need to be exposed to that vaginal gut flora, not gut flora, but the vaginal lining, which actually gives the baby healthy bacteria, and it actually allows them to thrive later on in life and fight many of the diseases. So C-sections are absolutely correlated with more sicknesses and disease later on in life. Formula feeding versus breastfeeding. Breastfeeding, the milk has a lot of antibodies to stimulate your immune system. You cannot make those up in a lab, and so formula feeding can be very detrimental to a baby's health. So if you can, absolutely keep breastfeeding as long as you can. Other factors, and we got to talk about what this professor, Graham Rook, out of the University College of London said, and I got to quote this because it's just amazing. He said, "This realization that humans are in fact ecosystems and that we depend so much on these microorganisms is probably the most important advance in medicine in the last 100 years." So what this guy is saying is that our microbiome is so important that we gotta realize the importance of this and take care of it, because it is our immune system. Our immune system is a direct reflection of our health, and our health is going to determine our longevity and our quality of life. So it makes all the difference there. And then finally, a big solution I want to talk about is chiropractic care done right. Now, not only does chiropractic improve your immune system, but we actually did studies on it, and it increases your immune boosting cells in the body. In fact, immunoglobulin A in specifically, which is a immune boosting cell, very important, it increases that by 139% 2 hours post adjustment. Now, you can't get that from a drug, you can't get that from anything. That is huge. Not only that, you're going to have significant increases in these other immune boosting cells like IgG, IgM, and interleukin 2. So when researchers took a look at your immune system, which is very complex in nature, they realized that your immune response is basically a complex interaction between your nervous system and your immune system. We already know chiropractic boosts your immune system by increasing these immune boosting cells, but it also increases your nervous system. Wow, so chiropractic really benefits both interactions to actually help you have a healthier immune response. Now, what they found out also is that a sympathetic dominant state, which 99.9% of the population is in, are going to be immunosuppressive. It down-regulates the immune system when you're in that stressed out fight or flight state. So what we really got to do is we got to balance that nervous system. We got to have proper parasympathetic and sympathetic. Your parasympathetic is your rest, digest mode, healing, growth, and repair mode. And so what we got to do is we got to be able to, down-regulate your sympathetics and increase your parasympathetics. Now, what form of healthcare is good at balancing out the nervous system? Chiropractic, exactly. So we got to add that into your healthy lifestyle to be healthy and to have a strong immune system. And if that wasn't enough, chiropractic also blocks your pro-inflammatory cells. So that means that it's going to diminish inflammation, and inflammation is one of the things that directly influences allergies in general. And I gotta just quote this out right from the journal article itself from Chiropractic and Osteopathy in 2010. The production of interleukin-2 induced immunoglobulin G and immunoglobulin M was significantly increased in cultures from subjects treated with spinal manipulation. So there you have it right there. Not only are we going to be benefiting the gut, but you're going to be increasing your immune boosting cells so you can prevent any type of stress you have in your life. And so to sum everything up here, the steps to take right now is get the diet, use the protocols we use in this talk, get regular exercise, avoid antibiotics and medications, and only take your antibiotics if absolutely necessary, which you're going to find out is very, very little. You've got to incorporate chiropractic in your lifestyle. And also too, another good way to kind of combat allergies is doing a daily nasal cleanse. And that's kind of like something like with the neti pot, using Himalayan salt crystals. And that just flushes out the impurities of your nasal system, keeps it clean, especially if you're in an area with pollution, anything like that. So that's a good idea. And I also wrote 3 things you could do in the short term, which I'm not really a fan of because these short-term strategies are never going to actually fix the problem. But this includes taking Butterbur, which has been shown to decrease symptoms of allergies in the short term, bee products, and apple cider vinegar. So in short, take these necessary steps to increase your immune system, to get healthy. Find a corrective care chiropractor at all costs because you're going to be increasing your immune boosting cells as well as balancing out your nervous system that way. And pretty soon you're going to find out that you're going to go after the cause of allergies and cure them once and for all. Thank you.